Hi everyone, my name is Hannah. Thank you for being here today. I want to discuss some topics of spirituality, ascension, how I relate to those things, and how maybe I can help you relate to those things and those topics. For today, what I want to discuss is trust. This is a topic that is really coming up for me right now as I'm planning a move in about 6 months to a whole different part of the country that I've never lived in before. That brings up a lot of fears for me about finances, family, and just a lot of unknown and a lot of stepping out of my comfort zone. As I'm kind of pondering and brainstorming and thinking about the future, I'm just stuck in a place of fear, which is the opposite of trust. And so I've been working on setting the intention of trust, and what does that mean? So for someone who kind of gave up their spirituality for many years and just really held on tight to this belief that I can do everything myself and I have to do everything myself, trusting is kind of foreign. The only person that I used to feel like I trusted was myself, when in reality I was confusing trust with control. I'm not sure how you guys relate to that, or you folks relate to that, but I don't know that I've truly experienced trust in the way that trust is in its purest form. Usually control is how I trust. So looking at trust versus fear, I've really been focusing on how do I feel that in my body. And I would encourage you, as we're talking, as you're listening to me talk, to feel in your body, where do you feel fear and where do you feel trust? So let's just take a moment to do that now. Let's start by feeling fear, because I feel like that's probably the easiest one to just instantly know in your body where you're feeling that. So you could also think of anxiety. Where do you feel anxiety? That's just another form of fear that might be easier for you to place in your body. For me, when I'm putting myself in a place of fear, which when you're doing this, don't go to an extreme imagining all of these horrible scenarios so that you can conjure up the feeling of fear. Just, have a few fearful thoughts and you'll be able to conjure it up in your body. For me, fear presents itself right across my chest. It feels very constricted. It feels very tight. Kind of feels like the air being let out of a balloon, kind of that sound, and that just like meh. Just lots of negativity, lots of tension. And then what's harder for me to tap into, but we're gonna try, is the feeling of trust. So if you're also unfamiliar with this feeling, I would encourage you to think about maybe an animal, how it feels to look at an animal and call them towards you and have them come towards you. How it feels to hold the animal in your arms, or maybe how it feels to hold a baby in your arms. Or maybe trust is a pretty easy feeling for you. Try to think of a time where you felt very trusting, that you felt very safe, and regardless of what was going on around you, you felt an inner peace. So just try and identify in your body what it feels like to trust. And for me, it's kind of funny because I feel it in the exact same place. And before I was also feeling it kind of in my jaw, like the fear I was feeling in my jaw. For me, I feel it in the same place. The fear feels more sticky and kind of stuck to my chest, compressing, where trust feels lighter. It feels like almost not quite a part of my chest, but just like as if my chest were expanding into the space in front of me. Feels like I can breathe. Feel like relaxed through the front of my tops of my arms. I feel almost like I want to smile. Not quite so like clenched and tense and restricted in my face. So see if you can just sit with both of these feelings in your body. Really get familiar with the sense of fear in your body and the sense of trust. And all we can really do to start is to start to be more aware of when this is happening. For me, I don't even realize I'm in a fearful place until I'm probably 2 days deep into a depression of just like these horrible negative thoughts overwhelming me. And I just get to a very specific place that I kind of realize like, oh, I'm here again. And it doesn't even have to be that big of a thing to trigger me into this fearful place. And again, you might not see yourself as a fearful person, but do you see yourself as a trusting person? For me, trust has been just non-existent in my life up until the last couple of years. So maybe you don't resonate with the word fear, but you resonate with the fact that you are rather untrusting, which is okay. That's why we're here, to start working on our trust issues. So we're just going to start by getting comfortable with the fact that both of these are emotions in our bodies. We're capable of feeling both of these things. And oftentimes, fear or anxiety may be seeping into our lives and into our bodies without us even realizing it, especially if we are so programmed, traumatized, just overwhelmed with like a lot of negative things happening in our life. That might be a pretty frequent, common, comfortable place to be, is this fearful, anxious, untrusting place. And that's okay. So for me, what I've been doing kind of over the last day that I decided to set this as my intention to work on building this feeling of trust within myself, it's been challenging because I can feel the fear and anxiety coming up, and it's not very easy for me to switch over into the trusting feeling. Or I kind of have like a mental block to the trust. And I just have a lot of angry thoughts that come up like, yeah, it would be great to trust, but how can I when I have to think about this and I have to think about this and I have a history of this and it's never worked out before for me to trust, so blah, 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 the whole spiral goes. And again, that's okay. Runty would like to say hi. Hi, baby. Hi, baby. So when I think of trust, I think of her because she just brings such a lightness to my heart and really connects me to my inner child, which is where I began to stop trusting people. So if you can try and connect to a point in your life before you can remember being fearful and anxious and jaded, that might be a good place for you to find this trusting feeling. And it can be scary to tap into. It's not easy. It takes courage to override all of these feelings of fear and anxiety that are just embedded in so many different pathways in your body. It is not your fault. If you can't even conjure up the feeling of trust right now, it is not your fault. So let's go back to, I think we all have a good feeling of the fear and anxiety in our body. Let's go back to trying to feel that trust. Like I said, for me, it feels like a lightness in my chest, like uplifting. I can breathe easier. I kind of want to smile. And all that you can really do is practice. And it goes back to what I was saying about recognizing when this is happening throughout the day. If you're an anxious person like me, this is going to happen pretty frequently throughout your day and give you many opportunities to practice trusting. Awesome. So essentially all it is now that you have identified in your body what it feels like to feel fear, when you recognize that, you can label it. I'm feeling fearful. I'm feeling anxious. You don't need to go into a 20-minute story about why you're feeling fearful and all of the childhood traumas that have led to that. That's not helpful. Just, I'm feeling anxiety. Notice that in your body. And then, now that we've established, or at least kind of sparked this feeling of trust within you, practice feeling your fear and then also calling in this sense of trust. Practice letting those two feelings sit in your body together, and then practice trying to rise above the fear, trying to let this trust envelop, hug, merge, do whatever feels, or whatever comes to your mind, whatever comes to your heart, whatever you're feeling, whatever naturally happens when you start to intermingle your fear and your trust in your body. Just let that keep happening over and over and over again. Trust is about facing each moment with trust. It's not like the law of attraction where you need to think about something and really believe something. I trust, I'm trusting, I'm a trusting person. Oh, bad things keep happening. Clearly my intentions and affirmations didn't work. It's not really what trust is about. Something that kind of hangs me up is confusing trust with knowing. Feeling like if I'm going to trust something, I need to know about it. It must mean I have a plan. It must mean that I know what my future looks like because I'm trusting in a path. And again, that's fear-based. Even if you have a path laid out clearly in front of you, and you're taking all of the steps, and you're doing everything quote-unquote right, there is no guarantee, absolutely no guarantee that things are gonna go the way that you planned. Even if you trust with all your might that things are gonna go how you want, that's still not trust, that's control. So keep coming back to this idea, these topics of trust, fear, control, knowing. They're all different. And being able to identify in your life when you're trying to control things so that you can have a sense of trust, and how that is really just control, and that you really aren't guaranteeing anything for yourself except for that you're closing down potential opportunities that could come in if you weren't quite so fearfully and rigidly trying to control things so that you can quote-unquote trust. So the last thing I want to say is that when we're practicing moment by moment this feeling of trust over fear, or at least acknowledging our fear, feeling our fear, marrying it with trust, a sense of trust, just a glimmer of trust in our heart, or wherever you feel it in your body. When we are trusting in each moment, we are in our truth. We're in alignment with truth. We're in alignment with Source, God, whatever higher power you believe in. It doesn't really matter what's going on, what decisions you make, what decisions you don't make, what actions you take, what you don't take. If in the moment when fear starts to arise, you can calm yourself, bring in this feeling of trust, you are in alignment with truth. Compare that to fear. Fear and truth, they're not together. They're not in harmony. Fear is always going to keep you from truth, from God, from Source, because there is no fear in Source. When you know that absolutely everything is taken care of, and you can trust that, there is nothing more pure and truthful and real than that. Fear, anxiety is never going to align you with truth. It's never going to help you ascend. So let's just close with a little meditation together. You can close your eyes if that feels good. Just notice what you're feeling in your body right now. You might have a lot of emotions stirred up. You might have a lot of thoughts swirling around. You might feel peaceful. Just call to mind the piece of you that knows how to trust. Whoever that is inside of you, whatever piece of you that is that knows how to trust and feel safe and protected. Breathe into that sensation now. Your mind might be working very hard to call in images and thoughts that are the opposite of trust. That's okay. It's the fear that lives in your body. There's nothing wrong with that. Send love and compassion to the part of you that learned how to be safe by being fearful, by being controlling, by being small. Connect again with that feeling of trust. Just let it be light. Don't try too hard. Package it up somehow. If you want to wrap it in a bow, if you want to squeeze it, press it to your chest, store it in your heart. Just let that become a memory that you can easily access. That feeling of trust is always within you. It's going to take practice. Moment by moment, you can choose to trust. Choose trust over fear. Choose trust over control. Just call your energy back to yourself now. Wiggle your fingers and toes. Take some deep breaths. Sigh them out. Open your eyes. I really thank you all for listening, being open to what I have to say, helping me also work through my trust versus fear issues, my control issues, and I hope to create more content related to topics like this, spirituality, ascension, a little bit of therapy-ish type topics, and how they relate to my life, and how I hope they will relate to you, and hopefully bring you a little bit of insight. So thank you very much for joining me. Have a beautiful rest of your day. Thanks.